Ray Allen, the betrayal, the shot, and the ultimate payback. Ray Allen was drafted 5th overall in 1996 by the Timberwolves and traded to the Bucks. He came into the league wired to shoot. By his 5th season, he was averaging 22 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 4.6 assists, hitting 43% from deep, pure efficiency and elegance. He made a name for himself in Milwaukee and then proceeded to become a superstar in Seattle. And then, in 2007, everything changed. Boston happened. That trade formed the Big Three: Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. Together, they brought Boston back from the ashes, winning the 2008 NBA championship, ending a 22-year drought. Allen became the silent weapon. He was the calm in chaos, the corner sniper who made impossible shots look effortless. For 5 seasons, he averaged 16.7 points per game, shooting 41% from 3 and earning his place among the most clutch shooters ever. But by 2012, the Big Three weren't so big anymore. Injuries slowed Garnett and Pierce. Rondo was becoming the new leader, and Allen didn't like what he was seeing. Behind the scenes, tension simmered. Allen and Rondo barely spoke. Allen was big on respect, and maybe one more good contract, one more run. On the other end, Boston offered him less money and a bench role. To make matters worse, they even tried to trade him twice. The message was clear: we love you, but not that much. So, when his contract expired, Ray Allen made the coldest move imaginable. He left Boston and signed with their bitter rival, the Miami Heat, the very team that had just eliminated them. Celtics fans went ballistic. His teammates cut him off completely. Garnett refused to shake his hand. Pierce called him a traitor, but Allen remained silent in all of these. Fast forward to June 18, 2013, Game 6 of the NBA Finals. The Miami Heat were down 3-2 in the series, down 3 points, with 19 seconds left. LeBron James missed a desperate 3. Chris Bosh snatched the rebound. Then time froze. Ray Allen, backpedaling to the corner, eyes steady with his feet set, caught the ball, rose, and fired. It was a tie game. The arena erupted. That single shot saved the Heat's season, forced overtime, and led to Miami winning the NBA championship 2 nights later. It wasn't just a basket. It was revenge, redemption, and immortality in one perfect motion. While Boston's Big Three watched from home, the man they'd frozen out became an NBA legend. Ray Allen retired as the NBA's all-time leader in three-pointers, 2,973 makes, a record that stood until Steph Curry broke it in 2021. But the wounds between Allen and his former teammates lingered for nearly a decade. Not until 2022 did Allen, Pierce, and Garnett finally reconcile. Because time always reveals truth. When the game was on the line and legacies hung by a thread, it wasn't loyalty or friendship or talk that saved the day. It was Ray Allen, the man they called traitor, the man who proved that sometimes revenge doesn't need words, just one perfect shot. Vince Carter, from hated to hallowed. Vince Carter was once called half man, half amazing. But for nearly a decade, one city called him something else: a quitter, a traitor, a man who turned his back on them. Drafted as 5th overall in 1998, Vince Carter landed in Toronto, and from his first game, he was a baller. He averaged 18.3 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 3 assists as a rookie, claiming Rookie of the Year honors. By his 3rd season, he was dropping 27.6 points per game, and his dunks weren't just highlights, they were the main game. The 2000 Slam Dunk Contest became mythic. Reverse windmills, 360 seconds, between the legs jams. He didn't just dunk, he defied gravity. Toronto had found its first true superstar. The jersey sold out, the Air Canada Centre was packed, and for once, a Canadian franchise mattered in the NBA. But heroes rarely stay heroes forever. By 2004, the Raptors were falling apart. Bad trades, broken promises, and no real direction. Carter felt betrayed by management, and at this point, he wanted out. But here comes the breaking point. In a moment of honesty, Carter Vince admitted he hadn't been giving full effort. For the fans, they didn't hear context, they heard confession. To them, he quit. Soon after, he was traded to the New Jersey Nets, and overnight, the city that once worshipped him turned hostile. Every return to Toronto was brutal. Signs screamed, "Crybaby Carter." Boos rained from every corner. He went from hero to villain in the space of a season. But Carter never clapped back. He didn't beg, defend, or fight. He just played basketball. And that quiet professionalism, that unshaken grace, became his revenge. In December 2006, he returned to Toronto again. The Raptors led by 2 late in the game. Inbound pass, Carter catches, fakes, steps back, fades, fires. Game winner. He averaged 42 points, 10 assists, 15 rebounds. As the crowd went silent, Carter's face said it all. Do you remember who I am now? Still, his truest revenge wasn't one night. It was a career. While most high flyers faded early, Vince reinvented himself. While in New Jersey, he averaged 23.6 points for 5 straight seasons. Then came Orlando, Phoenix, Dallas, Memphis, Atlanta, where he became the wise veteran, a mentor for rising stars. He played until age 43, logging 22 seasons, which is the longest career ever by a shooting guard or small forward. Over 25,000 points, 6,600 rebounds, 4,700 assists, and top 10 all-time in games played. Longevity became his legacy. Dignity became his answer. He never trashed Toronto. He just kept showing up and proving his points. A decade later, something changed. In 2014, during a Raptors tribute video, the boos finally stopped. The crowd stood. All the crowd applauded. All of these were happening while Vince's eyes watered. He waved, trembling, forgiveness at last. Vince Carter outlasted every critic, every insult, every doubt. Because true greatness doesn't fade when the cheers stop. It evolves. Paul George, the man who rebuilt himself after they gave up on him. Paul George was called soft and lacked the ability to lead. But for him, he doesn't argue. He remembers it all. Drafted 10th overall in 2010 by the Indiana Pacers, George came into the league as that quiet guy, tall, wiry, and humble. His rookie year, nothing flashy. Averaged 7.8 points, 3.7 rebounds, 1.1 assists per game. But in just 3 seasons, he went from just another kid to the face of the franchise, averaging 21.7 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 3.5 assists, winning Most Improved Player and his first All-Star spot in 2013. He wasn't just another good player, he was a terrifying one, a two-way nightmare who made even LeBron sweat in the East. From 2012 to 2014, the Pacers were dogs. 2 straight Eastern Conference Finals, toe-to-toe with the mighty Miami Heat. Paul George was the heartbeat of Indiana, until one night where everything changed. August 1st, 2014, Team USA scrimmage. A simple fast break, drives here, chases there, and then a sickening crack, which got the arena frozen. George's leg had snapped clean. It was a compound fracture. Players on the court cried. LeBron buried his face in his hands. The silence in the arena felt eternal. Doctors said he might never return the same. Then Pacers quietly prepared for life without him. Paul George, on the other hand, prepared for war. He spent months in rehab, learning to walk again, then run, then jump, basically rebuilding not just his body, but his belief. He came back the next season, fragile but defiant, whispering one message through every movement: I'm not done. By 2017, he was back to utmost form, averaging 23.7 points, 6.6 rebounds, 3.3 assists. But Indiana stopped believing. The front office stalled. There was no real help, nor real support coming forth. They called him difficult when he demanded better. They went ahead to leak that he wanted to leave for LA, and the fans turned on him. The media painted him selfish, but the truth is, Indiana gave up on him. That summer, they shipped him to Oklahoma City for Oladipo and Sabonis. Critics said he was done, but you don't give a superstar doubt, you give him fuel. In 2019, Paul George exploded. 28.0 points, 8.2 rebounds, 4.1 assists, and led the NBA in steals. He finished third in MVP voting, behind Giannis and Harden. PG was back, sharper, meaner, and louder. And when he dropped 47 points on Brooklyn, he screamed into the crowd, "Y'all forgot about me, huh?" In all honesty, they had, until he reminded them. Then came the Clippers era. He teamed up with Kawhi Leonard, but mocked again after one bad playoff run, and was tagged the Pandemic P. It was all memes, tweets, and laughter. But PG didn't clap back. Instead, he went to work. By 2021, with Kawhi injured, Paul George carried the Clippers to their first Western Conference Finals in history. averaging 26.9 points, 9.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists. No excuses, no noise, just results. When asked about the hate, he said calmly, "I'm built for it." Paul George rebuilt his leg, his game, and his name. He went ahead to be crowned 9-time All-Star and 6-time All-NBA. He is considered one of the best two-way players alive. While they doubted him, he put in more work. Chris Paul, the trade they blocked, the legacy he built. If basketball had a manual for revenge, Chris Paul would have written the introduction. Drafted 4th overall in 2005 by the New Orleans Hornets, Paul walked into the NBA already looking like a veteran. As a rookie, he averaged 16.1 points, 7.8 assists, and 2.2 steals, winning Rookie of the Year with ease. By 2008, he wasn't just great, he was part of the elite, averaging 21.1 points, 11.6 assists, 2.7 steals, and one of the best records in Hornets history at 56-26. At barely 6 feet tall, CP3 controlled the game like a maestro, precise, patient, and terrifyingly smart. He wasn't the flashiest player, he was the standard. But in the NBA, talent isn't always enough. Sometimes, power decides who gets to shine. December 8th, 2011, the trade that could have changed basketball forever. Chris Paul to the Los Angeles Lakers to team up with Kobe Bryant. The league buzzed and the fans celebrated. Then, boom! NBA Commissioner David Stern vetoed the trade. His reason? Not in the best interest of the league. But everyone knew the truth. The owners didn't want the Lakers getting stronger. It wasn't just rejection, it was humiliation. The NBA had owned the Hornets at the time, which meant Stern was technically Paul's boss, and his boss just told him, "You don't control your destiny, we do." Days later, Chris Paul was traded, not to the Lakers, his desired home, but to the Los Angeles Clippers. It was the same city, different colors, but a new fire. From 2012 to 2017, he turned the Clippers into a circus of brilliance, Lob City, with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan turning his passes into poetry. Paul averaged 18 points, 10 assists, led the league in assists twice, in steals 6 times, and turned the laughingstock Clippers into title contenders. Every time he beats the Lakers, his face is always quiet with that satisfied revenge. But the championship never came. It was injuries, collapses, and bad luck. Paul's revenge wasn't about the rings, it was about respect. Fate had him in Houston, where he teamed up with James Harden. During the Western Finals, they were one win from dethroning the dynasty until Paul's hamstring snapped in Game 5. Unfortunately for him, he never returned, and Houston lost the game. Once again, the critics circled like vultures, and the Rockets dumped him for Russell Westbrook. He was labeled too old, too small, and too done. Paul was transferred to Oklahoma City, a team built to tank. However, for Chris Paul, he didn't tank like they predicted. He led OKC to 44-28, the 5th seed, and pushed Houston to 7 games, averaging 17.6 points, 6.7 assists, and 5 rebounds. He became the definition of leadership you can't measure. Then his phase with Phoenix came, where he teamed with Devin Booker. He turned a young lottery team into an NBA Finals contender, and at age 36, he averaged 16.4 points, 8.9 assists, and made the Suns shine brighter than ever. Chris Paul didn't need the Lakers. Neither did he need a commissioner's blessing. All he needed was time. They blocked his trade, but they couldn't block his greatness. This is the dark side of basketball, where every stat hides a story, and every story has a shadow. If you felt that one, smash the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon all for free, because the next tale of revenge is darker, deeper, and wilder than this. Jimmy Butler. The underdog who made the NBA bow down. Jimmy was labeled too emotional, but didn't find any offense in it. Born in Tomball, Texas, Jimmy's story didn't begin with fame or comfort. It began with rejection. At just 13, his mother told him, "I don't like the way you look. You gotta go." Homeless and fatherless, and bounced from house to house. What he lacked in stability, he made up for in fire and determination. At Marquette University, he wasn't the star player. He was the hustler, the guy diving for loose balls, guarding the best scorer, and doing the dirty work nobody else wanted. That relentless attitude caught attention, and in 2011, he was drafted 31st overall by the Chicago Bulls, the very last pick of the first round. In his rookie year, He was barely noticeable. He averaged just 2.6 points per game. However, Jimmy wasn't there for instant glory. He studied the game, learned, and worked harder than everyone else. And by the 2014-15 season, he exploded, averaging 20 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 3.3 assists per game, earning himself the NBA's Most Improved Player award. Chicago thought they had found their next great leader, but they misunderstood him. Jimmy Butler wasn't built for mediocrity. He demanded intensity, accountability, and effort from everyone. He practiced harder than his teammates, called out laziness, and even challenged the front office. To him, basketball wasn't a job. It was a fierce game, but not everyone shared that fire. In 2017, the Bulls traded him to the Minnesota Timberwolves, a move that was meant to silence him. But instead, it fueled him. In Minnesota, surrounded by young stars like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, Butler quickly saw the missing piece. Then came the infamous October 10, 2018 practice. Butler picked 4 benchwarmers, challenged the starters, and beat them. He yelled at the GM, and he wasn't wrong. Days later, still sweaty from practice, he gave an ESPN interview saying, "I'm passionate. That's what you see as disrespect." Soon after, he was traded again. His next stop was Philadelphia 76ers. There, he teamed up with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, becoming their emotional anchor and clutch performer. In Game 7 of the 2019 playoffs, he battled hard, but Kawhi Leonard's iconic buzzer beater ended their run. When the Sixers refused to re-sign him, calling him too intense, Jimmy didn't argue. He just moved on. That summer, he signed with the Miami Heat. As usual, the critics laughed. Miami was built differently. They had what Jimmy always wanted, a team full of dogs. In his first season, he led them to the 2020 NBA Finals, averaging 26.2 points, 9.8 assists, and 8.3 rebounds in the playoffs. His 40-point triple-double in Game 3 against LeBron's Lakers became an instant classic. After that win, he stared into the camera and declared, "I told you we belong here." By 2023, Jimmy Butler had gone from unwanted to unstoppable. In the first round of the playoffs, against the top-seeded Milwaukee Bucks, he averaged 37.6 points per game, dropping 56 in Game 4 and finishing the series with 42 in Game 5 to pull off one of the greatest upsets in NBA history. For him, there were no celebrations, no chest beating, just that calm, confident smirk that echoed Jimmy Butler isn't the villain. He's proof that pressure doesn't break everyone. Some rise, evolve, and make the world bow down. He turned homelessness into hunger, rejection into redemption, and doubt into dominance. So when you see Jimmy smile during chaos, remember, he's not smiling because it's easy. He's smiling because he's survived worse. Rasheed Wallace, the man the league tried to silence. In the early 2000s, one name echoed through the NBA, not for being the face of the league, but for being the man it couldn't control. His name, Rasheed Wallace. They called him a hothead. They called him a problem. But in the end, he won. Drafted 4th overall in 1995 by the Washington Bullets, Rasheed showed promise early, averaging 10.1 points and 4.7 rebounds as a rookie, while shooting an impressive 56% from the field. But it was his move to Portland in his second season that turned him into a star and a lightning rod. By 2000, he was averaging nearly 20 points and 8 rebounds, powering the Trailblazers to the Western Conference Finals against Kobe and Shaq's Lakers. Portland's roster was stacked. The team was packed with Scottie Pippen, Steve Smith, and Damon Stoudemire, but Rasheed was their emotional engine. However, what people remembered most wasn't his game, it was his temper. Rasheed Wallace refused to be fake. He was the player who questioned bad calls, barked at referees, and spoke his truth, even when it cost him. His passion was raw and unfiltered, and the NBA found him too blunt for the game. In the 2000 to 2001 season, Rasheed set an infamous record, 41 technical fouls in a single year. The league branded him a menace. Reporters, on the other hand, painted him as toxic, and the sponsors stayed away. But inside locker rooms, the story was different. Teammates loved him. To them, Rasheed wasn't a villain. He was considered a warrior. He preached accountability and heart. If you ain't ready to fight for every possession, he told rookies, you don't deserve to play. To Rasheed, basketball was sacred. To the league, he was a PR nightmare. The NBA fined him repeatedly, suspended him often, and even adjusted referee guidelines because of him. Eventually, he grew tired of being misunderstood, tired of being punished for caring too much. And by 2004, Rasheed wanted out of Portland. He didn't need fame, he needed freedom. That year, he was traded twice in 1 week. First to the Atlanta Hawks, where he played just 1 game, then to the Detroit Pistons. Critics mocked the move. Detroit was different on the matter. They were a team built on egos and grit. Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince were no superstars. They were just dogs. Coach Larry Brown didn't try to tame Rasheed, he let him be himself. And for the first time in years, Rasheed smiled again. That 2004 Pistons team became something special. They entered the playoffs as underdogs, not expected to beat anyone, let alone the mighty Los Angeles Lakers in the finals. But Rasheed gave them their identity, confidence, edge, and swagger. When asked about an upcoming matchup with Indiana, Rasheed simply said, "Both teams play hard, man." That quote became iconic, not because it was flashy, but because it was real. It captured exactly who he was, honest, no nonsense, and fearless. Then came the finals, Shaq, Kobe, Malone, Peyton versus the misfit Pistons. Nobody gave Detroit a chance, but Rasheed and his teammates outworked, out-toughed, and outplayed the Lakers at every turn. His defense on Karl Malone, his energy, and his leadership became the backbone of the team. He averaged 13 points, 7.8 rebounds, an endless hustle. When reporters doubted them, he said, "We ain't scared of them. They bleed like us." And just like that, the narrative flipped. The NBA tried to silence the voice of a champion. The Pistons beat the Lakers 4-1, shocking the world. In that moment, Rasheed Wallace didn't just win a ring, he earned himself validation. Not from the media, not from the league, but from history itself. Kyle Lowry, the pit bull they tried to cage. Some players are born superstars. Others are built through rejection, grit, and pure heart. Kyle Lowry was never supposed to be that guy. He wasn't the tallest, flashiest, or most athletic player in the draft, but he had something the league couldn't measure: the fighting spirit. Drafted 24th overall in 2006 by the Memphis Grizzlies, Lowry's early career was forgettable. He averaged just 5.6 points and 3.2 assists as a rookie, showing flashes of toughness, but not the star potential. Injuries held him back, and by his 3rd season, Memphis shipped him off to Houston like a spare part. But in Houston, things started to change. Lowry found his rhythm. His defense was suffocating, his leadership loud. By 2011-12, he was averaging 13.5 points and 7.4 assists, and finally looked like a real floor general. Still, friction with the coaching staff earned him another ticket out. But this time to Toronto, he was traded for a draft pick and some pocket change. To the league, it was just business. To Kyle Lowry, it was personal. When he arrived in Toronto in 2012, the Raptors were directionless. No identity, no culture, no expectations. It was basically a basketball graveyard for stars who wanted brighter lights. But Lowry wasn't there to fade out. He was there to fight. Alongside DeMar DeRozan, Lowry built something special, a backcourt forged from doubt and defiance. By 2014-15, he was an all-star, averaging 17.8 points, 6.8 assists, and 4.7 rebounds. The Raptors became contenders. Every story that involves rising to the top often meets with resistance. Year after year, Toronto dominated the regular season, only to collapse in the playoffs, usually at the hands of LeBron James. They got swept, mocked, and labeled frauds. Analysts said Lowry was too emotional and too small to lead. Fans wanted him gone. Then came 2018, another brutal sweep, and this time, a heartbreak. The Raptors traded DeRozan, his best friend, for Kawhi Leonard, and Lowry was devastated. Everyone questioned the franchise's loyalty, but instead of complaining, he locked in. The 2018-19 season became Kyle Lowry's silent revenge tour. His stats didn't scream MVP, but he averaged 14.2 points, 8.7 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. But his leadership was the glue holding Toronto together. When Kawhi hit the legendary Game 7 buzzer beater against the 76ers, it was Lowry's energy that lifted the team before the shot ever dropped. Then came the NBA Finals, Toronto versus Golden State, and Dynasty versus Underdog. Nobody gave them a chance, but Lowry came out swinging, and in Game 6, he dropped 26 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds, including 11 straight to open the game. When the buzzer sounded, Toronto was NBA champion for the first time in history, and the pitbull everyone once underestimated was its heartbeat. He didn't scream, he didn't taunt, he just smiled, remained calm, proud, and fulfilled. Because this wasn't just a championship, it was vindication. For every coach who doubted him, every trade that dismissed him, every fan who said he wasn't enough, Kyle Lowry didn't just win a ring, he changed what it means to lead. He proved that greatness isn't always flashy, that toughness doesn't need height, and that revenge doesn't need noise. Jalen Brunson, the undersized giant who brought New York back to life. Some players are born into the spotlight. Jalen Brunson, on the other hand, had to fight his way into it. The scout labeled him as too small, too slow, and too average. But every time someone doubted him, Brunson sharpened his edge. He didn't need height, he had heart. When Jalen Brunson entered the NBA in 2018, drafted 33rd overall by the Dallas Mavericks, the headlines barely noticed. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't loud, but he was disciplined. A 2-time NCAA champion from Villanova, built like a coach's dream, but a scout's afterthought. At 6'1", he didn't fit the modern guard prototype. He wasn't explosive like Ja Morant or electrifying like Trae Young, but he had something they didn't measure in combines. He had the ability to control. His rookie season was quiet, but effective, averaging 9.3 points, 3.2 assists. He didn't make noise, but made progress. And by his 4th season, he had become the Mavericks' hidden weapon. He averaged 16.3 points, 4.8 assists, and 50% shooting. Still, Dallas didn't believe it. They saw Luka Doncic as the future and Brunson as the sidekick. So when it came time to offer him a contract extension, the Mavericks lowballed him, and Jalen Brunson took that personally. Then came the 2022 playoffs. Luka went down injured. The Mavericks panicked, but Brunson didn't blink. Against the Utah Jazz, he became a man possessed, who averaged 27.8 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. A career-high 41 points. Step backs, floaters, footwork that looked like poetry in slow motion. Dallas survived without Luka because of Brunson, and still, they hesitated. They thought he would settle for less, stay quiet, and play the backup forever. But when free agency came, the Knicks called. 4 years, $104 million. Dallas didn't match, and that decision changed everything. When Brunson landed in New York, critics tore the deal apart. It was labeled overpaid and not a true number one. Jalen didn't argue with the critics. He just laced his sneakers and worked. From day one, he changed the culture, brought leadership, calm, and accountability. He turned Julius Randle from a frustrated star into a weapon again. The Knicks got their end secured and stopped looking lost. They started looking dangerous. Brunson's first season stats, he averaged 24 points, 6.2 assists, and nearly 50% shooting from the field. But numbers didn't tell the story, but the energy did. The Garden came alive again. Fans screamed his name like he had been there for decades. Every clutch bucket, every tough drive, you could feel the city remembering what winning felt like. Then came the 2023 playoffs. Cleveland Cavaliers. In the first round, Brunson didn't flinch. He dissected them piece by piece, averaging 24 a night, leading New York to its first playoff series win in years. Then came the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler and that ruthless Spoelstra system, Brunson went nuclear, averaging 37 points a game in the final stretch and played all 48 minutes, twice. He left every ounce of sweat on the floor. The Knicks didn't win the series, but they won something more powerful. They won their soul back. By the 2023-24 season, the whispers stopped. Jalen Brunson was no longer underrated. He was undeniable. He averaged 28.7 points and 6.7 assists. One of the best clutch scorers in the NBA, he was an all-star and a leader. Every time he faced the Mavericks, the look in his eyes said everything. This could have been yours. He didn't tweet revenge, but played it. Each floater, each pull-up jumper, it was a reminder that belief can't be bought late. While Dallas struggled with chemistry and excuses, New York was thriving with the man they said was too small to carry a franchise. Jalen Brunson isn't the biggest, he isn't the loudest, but he's one of the realest. He brought back grit to a city built on it. He gave the Knicks something they hadn't had in a generation. Damian Lillard, the loyal killer who finally snapped. For years, Damian Lillard was the symbol of loyalty. He stayed when others chased rings. He believed in Portland when Portland stopped believing in him. Drafted 6th overall in 2012, he exploded out of the gate and was Rookie of the Year and leader of a small market team that dared to dream. From the 2014 dagger against Houston to the 2019 wave goodbye to OKC, Dame built a legacy on cold-blooded finishes. But behind those iconic moments was frustration. Year after year, he gave everything while the Blazers gave him little help. No superstars, no upgrades, just promises. By 2021, Lillard had carried Portland as far as one man could. He dropped 55 points in a double overtime loss to Denver, a masterpiece that ended in heartbreak. The message was clear: loyalty alone doesn't win championships. Fast forward to 2023, after 11 seasons, he finally asked out. He wanted Miami, a chance to win, but the team he gave everything to refused. Instead, they traded him to Milwaukee, anywhere but the team he chose. While they thought it would get to him, instead, it fueled him. Opening night with the Bucks, Dame dropped 39 points. It was a surgical silent revenge. When he faced Portland again, he torched them with ease. No celebration, no emotion, just business. Because his revenge wasn't loud. It was peaceful, the kind that comes when you finally stop proving your worth and just play free. Portland lost their identity the moment he left. Milwaukee gained a killer who had finally chosen himself. Sometimes, revenge isn't about betrayal. It's about walking away and letting success speak louder than bitterness. Patrick Beverley, the man. They laughed at until he laughed last. Patrick Beverley was never supposed to last in the NBA. What he lacked in polish, he made up for in pure fire. Drafted in 2009, he bounced around Europe for years, Greece, Russia, Ukraine, clawing just to get noticed. By 2013, he finally cracked the NBA with Houston, and from the first whistle, he made noise. He wasn't there to score, he was there to disrupt. Full court pressure, trash talk, hustle plays, every possession was a fight. Fans hated him, and the stars despised him. But every teammate loved him, because he gave everything. Still, every time he found a home, the league moved on. He gets traded, replaced, and forgotten, and that's when his revenge arc began. In 2022, Beverley joined the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team everyone counted out. He promised the playoffs, and they laughed at him, but he led them there. When they won the play-in game, Pat Bev cried, jumped on the scorer's table, and threw his jersey. The critics mocked him, but to him, that was a lifetime of rejection finally paying off. Even now, bouncing between teams, he keeps finding ways to matter. Chicago, Philly, Milwaukee, not chasing fame, he's chasing respect. Patrick Beverley's revenge isn't a highlight reel, it's survival. It's proof that the heart can't be traded or benched. He turned doubt into identity, pain into purpose, and every whistle into a war cry. Because love him or hate him, you'll never forget him. Every player's got a story. Some were built on hype, some built on pain. But the real legends? They're built on what came after the doubt. You can bench them, trade them, overlook them, but you can't erase them. Because every shot they hit, every step they take back onto that floor isn't just basketball, it's payback in motion. This league runs on talent, but it thrives on memory. And the ones you counted out, they never forget. Hey you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. So many intriguing videos are still coming your way, so don't miss out.